Welcome back to Foundation Explanation. Terms like hotspot, ambient temperature, relative humidity, those are all terms you can find in care sheets. And care sheets are information packages that can be used by more experienced keepers. But if you are in the beginning of your reptile keeping career, you still need to learn about how to achieve those settings. And also, and this might even apply for the more experienced reptile keeper, what do these terms actually mean? In this video series I'm going to talk about all of this. My name is Robert Bronkhorst. Let's dive into today's topic. If you happen to watch this video right after the first foundation explanation, you will remember what I said in the end of that video. I was going to talk about how you can put energy into a system, how much energy you can put into a system, and how that affects it. But that's for later, I think. I was thinking about mass and thermal conductivity when I said that. But that is more for a fundamental understanding of things. And I think it is way more important, and I think it's also more desired to talk about ambient temperature, hotspot temperature. What are they and why you actually need to provide both? Ambient temperature, for if English isn't your first language. Just kidding. Ambient temperature, for if English isn't your first language, is the temperature of the air and the things around you. Think about your living room, right? In winter, the temperature in the living room is around 20 degrees Celsius. The temperature is controlled by the thermostat in your living room that controls your central heating system in your entire house. Now, the hotspot is the spot in your enclosure where your reptile can heat up. Now, the hotspot isn't a term that is used in everyday life, but you can think about it like a campfire on a chilly summer's evening, right? You can heat yourself by it if you are a little bit cold, and then move away from it to prevent you from getting too hot and starting to sweat. Or think about it like standing in the sun. That's actually where reptiles get their hotspots in nature. They bask in the sun, and they also bask on the hotspot in captivity. The hotspot temperature is too hot for them to live in all the time, but it needs to be warmer than their desired body temperature or core temperature. They use the hotspot to warm themselves up, and if they are hot enough, they move away from it to do what they need to do, like doing last night dishes, preparing their next meal, taking the kids to school, annoying the shit out of their neighbors, whatever, right? Ambient temperature needs to be cooler than their desired core temperature. I know, it sounds weird. You would think that if you keep your temperature in your enclosure at the perfect level, they need to bask less often in the hotspot or don't even need a hotspot at all, and they will have a perfect life, right? Well, in practice, the desired core temperature is not a given number. It depends on a lot of different things, like for example where they are in the digestion, what time of day it is, if you breed them or if they are up to breeding size, where they are in the breeding cycle, and there are many other factors at play. So if you want to give them a way to choose their perfect temperature for their specific needs on any specific time, and they know far better what's best for them than you will give them both a hotspot and a appropriate ambient temperature. Also, if you measure from the hotspot with a temp gun towards the more cooler side of your enclosure, you will see that the temperature slowly goes down. It slowly becomes less hot the more you move away from the actual hotspot. You can get the same experience if you light a candle, put your hands around it, somewhat loosely of course, and then move away from it slowly. You can feel that the further you are away from the heat source or the hotspot, the cooler it gets or the less warm it gets. Somewhere in that gradient from the hotspot to the cooler side, if your reptile wants to, they can choose a zone that matches their perfect needs for that time, for that situation. I want to prevent for you getting discouraged even before you click on this video, because you don't want to watch a 20-minute video on what hotspots are and what ambient temperature is and how to achieve them and why it's important and all of that stuff. So I'm going to cut it here. Wait! You're gonna leave us at this cliffhanger? Really? How do we achieve it? How do we achieve those temperatures in one enclosure? How do you get those two temperatures? Calm down. In next week's video I'm going to talk about how to achieve both of those temperatures and how to pick the appropriate one for your reptiles, and or how to find where you can get the appropriate temperatures for your reptile. So I'm gonna leave it here. If you want, but only if you really want it, but it would help me out a lot, to be honest, give this video a like. And if you don't want to miss the next foundation explanation, and you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel. I really like to thank you for your time. I sincerely hope that you've learned something, and see you in the next one. Bye.